How's it going, everybody? So at Telling Truth 3, my other channel, and at Telling Truth Archives, my original channel, but I archived it to save everything on the playlist there. But a really good anti-Christmas video I did. So make sure to check it out. The thumbnail is a Christmas tree with yeah, it's interesting. And I want to get into tonight. He is at the Waterloo Convention Center. Waterloo was played at the end of Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia came out the same release date as The Dark Knight, Darkened Right Eye. And my Mayday friend, who is Mayday is 111 days forward through the portal of Janus Tennant because it's day 121, but you subtract 10 because the transfer portal begins on January 10th. And she is 14111 days old. But remember, Trump and I's combined number, she turned the first 5 digits of Trump and I's combined number days old on March 11th last year. And she's really one to track. And she is 38 years old today, 7 months, 18 days. So 718, of course, is Porsche 911, Porsche 718, the date The Dark Knight came out, 718. And then we're told, to always look at the hours from the movie in Hollywood called The Hours. And she has it's 338664. So it's 338664 or 38664. So the 386 is there, 38 murder code 86 to eliminate somebody. 121 begins the seconds. Her birthday is on day 121, like we said. But again, percent of a common year, 386. 3866.03% of a common year. Old today. So I could definitely see the event taking place tonight, and then him passing away officially after midnight, which would be on a Wednesday, rising on a Friday. Wednesday is married to Friday in Norse mythology. Friday, named after the only female, Frigg. Odin and Frigg were married in Norse mythology. Odin is what Wednesday is named after. But the day after my wife saw Mamma Mia in one movie theater with my first ex-wife, I know, it's strange, and my son and his girlfriend was in the next theater. It's a long story while we all got together at dinner and then we went to see these movies. They didn't want to see The Dark Knight. So my son and the girl he was seeing at the time, we went to see The Dark Knight. So while we're watching The Dark Knight, she's watching Mamma Mia. The next day we sat down and I told her that I wanted a divorce. I was going to do it that day of the total solar eclipse, August 1st, 2008, but my son was in town for his mom's birthday, which was a few days later. But that was the day. I don't do birthdays anymore, of course, neither does my son, but that was what we did. We all went out to dinner. And so that was the eve. So when she was watching Waterloo at the closing credits the next day, that was the eve. The next day was the beginning of the end of that. Now, Earl You'll all know about Earl, who was murdered on May 8th. His murdering date, the date he was murdered, 5/8/1978, to today is 16661. That's pretty big, isn't it? And it will be that 8 days afterwards. He'll be in that 666 mode, or his death would be. So again, we're in some super interesting times. I lean more towards tomorrow, the death, than today. But if the event was tonight at Waterloo and the death was pronounced tomorrow, perfect. But if I'm wrong about tomorrow, he just dies tonight, pronounced dead tonight, so be it. But that would have him rising on the 21st, the darkest day of the year. I don't see him rising on the darkest day of the year. I see him theoretically in the ground spiritually on the darkest day of the year and then rising at the beginning of the rebirth of the sun. Now, him going down 2 days before Christmas, rising on Christmas, perfect. But after that, I really like down 2 days before the full moon, up at the full moon. I also love going down on the 27th, up on the 29th. Big time. There's a playlist on that. I also like him going down on the 29th, rising up through New Year's Eve. There's a playlist on that. Also, want to go over my prep, Michael's prep. Michael's got all the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar stuff, and we really need to get into that. February 3rd, 7 plays 11, or excuse me, number 7 ranked fighter fights number 11. That's Rising Day after Groundhog Day. That's a big deal. 7/11, Revelation 11:7, the Rising Bible verse. Right? That's super interesting. Hang on just a second. In college basketball, 11 and 7 play each other tomorrow. Is that the ritual for the eve of the rising on the 21st? Have to be a double eve if he rose on the 22nd, my suspected date. But that's pretty interesting. They got 11 and 7 playing each other. I don't think that's a coincidence, but yeah. All right. Let's continue on with the prep. Let's go ahead and go back to Michael's 38s. LeBron breaks NBA scoring record with 38,388. So it's a 38 and an 83 and a 38 again with the 88. And he did that on February 8th. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar breaks hip and fall at LA concert. LeBron scored 38 points that night. It was the 38th point that broke the record. The Lakers lost 133 for Revelation 13:3. So dash 130. So 133 to 130. So in other words, 133 fused with 313. So they're giving you 313. So if that's the murder, the 313, then we have to go with 2020, March 13th. That's when you get the 1386. He gets 86 on 1229. One three eight 6 days. 138 is Donald Trump in the simple gematria. 86, of course, means to eliminate. And then at New Year's Eve, he's 13. Excuse me. It's 1388 days from 313. Now, if you do this from 311, he's going down on 1227, rising on 1229. 1229 is either the 86ing day or the rising day because event 201 was the ritual before the ritual of 2020. And Bill Gates and John Hopkins, of course. And the 201 prime number, the 201st prime number is 1229. So I believe that's the pivot day, either the rising day or the 86ing day. And you have two-way goes with 311 and 313. Revelation 13:3 speaks of deadly wound, but did live. So it's a two-way go verse. Could represent death or rising. So again, you can use 311, which just backs it up 2 days, has him going down on 1227, which is the birthday of the boyfriend of my 11-3, 138, 88, 38, 86, all in her number. And she's born at 808. So him going down on his birthday, since those two are linked physically, then yes, it's out of wedlock, but you know, I didn't live the right life either until I was called. All lost sheep will get the call before they die. There's nothing we can do about that. Can't stop a sheep from being called. Can't cause a sheep to be called. It's God's will. So it's very interesting. Now we go back to this LeBron. LeBron James broke the record February 8th. What day did LeBron? Well, it's February 7th. James breaks Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record against Oklahoma City Thunder on February 7th. LeBron James breaks the record on February 7th.
According to the New York Times, Los Angeles, one of the most extraordinary records in NBA history, had stood for nearly 39 years until LeBron James grabbed it for himself. James, the Los Angeles Lakers forward,
February
broke Kareem
7th.
Abdul-Jabbar's
February
career-scoring
7th.
record of 38,387 points on Tuesday.
So it's 38-38-7. It wasn't 38-38-8. For that one article that we looked at. Doesn't matter. It's just those 38s and 83s is what's big. So let's run the February 7th of this year. February 7th to today. It's 315. And like Michael said, that's the Ides of March, I think. Yeah. The beauty of it happening or him dying tomorrow, it's John 3:16. 316 days. Rising on 318. If you include both dates, he's rising on 319, the birthday of our friend that has 11-3. Three times 19 times 1998. Begins with the 11-3, which is when One World Trade Tower was opened. Again, 311 code, 11.3 code. Then it has she has the 138, which is Donald Trump and Simple Gematria, the 88, which is Trump and Simple Gematria, the 38, which is murder code, and or also, of course, 86, murder code, 86 to murder or eliminate somebody. So we are in a very fascinating time. You know, the transfer portal, Eve, is 710 in Jewish gematria. 710 days from the transfer portal is December 21st, the darkest day of the year, giving you, since that's the eve, is the rising day. Well, it's 7-11 after that on the rising day. So then you go to Revelation 11:7 or 7-11 days in, and there's your December 22nd going down on Wednesday, rising on Friday. Whether the event is tonight really signifies that the death is Wednesday, named after you know who. So Tuesday the 19th is 708 days. Tomorrow would be 709. Today, backwards through the portal, is Groundhog Day 2020. Oof. Yikes. This is getting very interesting, isn't it? 709 days would be tomorrow, and that would be the day before Groundhog Day. That's better. Because going down on Groundhog Day has him rising on February 3rd. And the movie ended when he finally reached February 3rd, or the rising day. Even though when you raise these numbers, you're going to continue to go backwards through the portal. Now, I want to continue this prep. There was certainly something interesting that I put in there today. Can't remember what it was. LeBron was 38 years old when he broke the record. So again, with the 38s, that's why we've got to keep an eye on all this stuff. Pittsburgh Colts, 1330 or 13-3 code. Steelers, Colts, one of the White Horse teams. Pittsburgh. Anyway, yeah. Fascinating. Pittsburgh is, sorry, my mind was somewhere else. Pittsburgh was representing Gotham's team in the movie The Dark Knight Rises. The flower full moon that I Pet Goat 2 gave us that makes Obama sweat when it blooms. 311 days later is 3/11/2024. What in the world's the chances of that? 311 code is their biggest, you once said, I said to Michael. That's pretty fascinating. 7:12 p.m. 22089 days old. Michael says Justice O'Connell lying in wait or repose at Supreme Court. I showed Honor Guard collapse at 10:38. She died on 12/1. 121 Antichrist in Phoenix. Sandra Day O'Connor. This was it here. The world was this. So Trump's in this area where there's a 404 in his weeks old. And I don't have him up here, do I? So let's go over here. And you see where Trump right now is 4044 weeks old and 4 days. It's a lot of fours, isn't it? 4044. So this 404 or Revelation code, because there's 404 verses in Revelation, this lasts all the way, believe it or not, to the very last day. It's 404 9 weeks. After that, it flips to 405. It's 404 9 weeks and 6 days, one more day, and it's going to flip it to 405 0 weeks. The very last day of this 404 code is the full moon. In other words, him rising up through that full moon, January 25th. That's him going down on Tuesday, January 23rd. That means the Wednesday that they always talk about, the day of woe, or the day of sadness. Wednesday's child brings woe, whatever, something like that. It's woe. Wednesday's child is full of woe. That's what it is, the poem. It's woe because he died yesterday. So the whole earth is in that woe realm. Then he rises on Thursday, named after Thor. And there was a Thor, one of the Thor movies. He had a right eye patch on. Thor and the right eye patch. I never understood why Thor lost an eye just for him to get an eye patch. So there it is, the big eye patch. His eye patch in Avengers Endgame. And it's the Endgame. We can run that date. Well, from the Avengers Endgame date, it's 1733 days. At the rising on that Thursday's full moon. 1735. The premiere, of course, though, is on the 22nd. B rising 1739. Not a lot of clues there then on that. But anyway, if we run it to today, since he's wearing the right eye patch, on 698. On the potential rising days, 1701. 1700 even at the winter solstice. If he dies tonight, it'd be a perfect 1700. Anyway, that's it. That's all I've got. And we'll get into more later, won't we? Unless it happens tonight. Y'all won't be hearing from me anymore. I'm sure of that. Love you.